Hi everybody, this is our review
Do I do that again? Because like right as you said, I did like...
Today we're going to talk about The Big Sick.
Yes.
I almost have to think of what it was called. Oh, by the way, this is obviously not Paul. But thanks for joining me, Allie.
Hi.
Paul's off doing legit acting stuff, so good for him.
Traitor.
Yeah, what a traitor. Now you're part of the channel. There you go. Now you're part of the team. Welcome. Well, what did you think of Big Sick?
I loved it. It was funny. It was witty. I love the dialogue. I love all of the characters. This was real life captured in art. This was honest in the way that it talks about current cultural struggles and the racism that a lot of people have to deal with, as well as the troubles with in-laws sometimes, and family, and first generation children.
I've seen movies that sort of about being an immigrant who've come to like the US or wherever, and them just having to deal with that cultural shock. And I think that this is kind of nice to see that the next generation from that having to deal with parents who are still very much in their ways from their culture. It's a big difference to be raised in American culture. Yeah. Still kind of have to conform to the values of the culture that your family's from.
Yes.
And I guess you can empathize a lot more than I can.
Oh yeah, but with my parents, they are still very much Filipino. I'm not any less Filipino, but like there is a cultural difference between all of us.
So even though like you and I are both born in Canada,
yeah,
there's cultural differences between us. That's a nice thing to see a movie about that. I mean, I'm sure there have been other movies made about it, but one that's, I mean, it's not a big film, but it's big enough that it's getting like wide release. So that's a nice kind of refreshing subject matter that's very modern, that I think a lot of people who haven't really had their voices kind of portrayed in Hollywood, suddenly they have a movie where they can get a good sense of that. I think that there's a lot of people who go and watch this movie and really connect with it. But you also don't need to be going through that sort of cultural struggle to get something out of this film, because I connected with it as well, even though I'm more of the Emily in the story, where I've been in Canada for like generations for my family. So yeah, it's really nice to get a movie that I feel like talks from a voice that Hollywood doesn't portray too often. Like it comes across as very genuine because the movie is based off the true story of the lead actor who...
Kumail Nanjiani?
Nanjiani? Okay,
Nanjiani.
So we're probably saying that wrong. Sorry, Camille. Him and his wife co-wrote the film based on their experience and how they actually met and fell in love with each other. It's obviously a dramatized version. It is based in truth, and it is real struggles that they did go through. Another thing I like is the fact that he's a character who comes from a Muslim family. While it reveals very early in the film that he's not really following Islam, he's wise to not villainize it. I think that's something that
this whole film does. That it shows that there is a cultural gap, but it never shows this perspective where like one is better than the other.
Even the concept of arranged marriages, first of all, it portrays it right. I think a lot of people in Western culture don't have the right idea of what arranged marriages are like. They think of it as very involuntary, where it's more of just the parents putting their kids on dates together and then hoping that something takes off.
There are some cultures where like you don't really get a say, but this one in particular, it shows a different light. This is a normal thing for people, because like that's what their culture is. The parents that play matchmaker, and then just like if they like each other, like there's the one girl, she said the cafe, I was like, yo, I like her.
It was very fair because his brother is in an arranged marriage, and he apparently has a great experience with it. He really loves his wife, they really love each other, they have a great marriage. And so it's very even-handed. Anyone who's raised on Disney, like you watch Aladdin, Princess Jasmine doesn't want an arranged marriage. It's not what's right for her.
I want to marry for love.
And her dad's like, oh, I'm just so portly and lovable. That's just sort of what the Disney archetype is. At least it was at that time. It definitely represents Western values of an individualisticness, of like you decide your own destiny, and where like there's still tons of cultures out there where you just have to do what you have to do in culture because it's, from other people's points of view, better for the culture. We can look at people and say like that's right or that's wrong, but maybe it isn't. I don't know. Like I think it's a lot more complex than that. And I guess to get back to the movie, I think it's fair to show it as a more complex issue rather than villainizing or praising one thing or another.
I actually know a few people who have partaken in arranged marriages. And it's not something that they ever were afraid of. It's kind of like, oh, well, you guys do this here. Well, in my culture, we do this. And we're like, in my experience, there hasn't been stigma. And unfortunately, that's not entirely true for many people. So I like that this movie is kind of opening up that perspective.
Although, like, his mom can be very frustrating in the movie. You always kind of feel that it is out of love. I mean, everyone kind of has their own story with their mom and how they act. And, you know, my mom's got some quirks too. And she's tried to set me up with some people as well.
No!
She just wants to be involved and she wants what's best for you. What else did you like about the film?
It was genuinely funny.
Yeah, it was.
When this guy laughs, it's like, There were times I heard him laughing for so long, and it was amazing, and I kind of got envious. I'm like, why can't I make him laugh like that? It was so witty. I guess the jokes were very jabby. I don't have other words to describe it. No one else can make these jokes. They're the ones who have experienced the stigma and the racism, and they deserve to make these jokes because it belongs to them.
There's one line in there. I mean, there's a lot of good jokes, but there's one joke that just slayed me in the film. I don't want to ruin anything though, so I'll just leave it at that. The best kind of comedy comes from a place of truth. This is definitely that. This is definitely comedy that comes from something that's very genuine.
The things that Kumail says is not something that Emily could say or any of his friends or even his brother could say. The dialogue has so much personality. Everyone feels like a real person.
Even the characters who are there for like one scene feel very real.
Right? There's always something distinguishing about them.
Even if you think you've got a character figured out, they can kind of defy your expectations a little bit later on.
Except for the support, like the minor characters.
Well, you can only do so much with minor characters.
Yes.
There's a reason that they're minor characters. But anyone who's a big player in the film, they're just more interesting than you think they're going to be. And that's good writing.
Kumail and Emily, they're so cute.
Zoe Kazan is, she's a darling.
She's adorable.
Then they were cute together. Like, I can see why she was cast to play alongside him, is that there was sort of a genuine chemistry. Here's a tough question. Is there anything that bothered you about the film?
It's nothing big, and it's nothing defining about the movie, but I just thought that there was this one joke. But there's this part where the family is talking to a girl that they hope to arrange with Kumail. They're talking in their own language, and then it turns out she can understand it. That was the one joke that I just felt like, oh, a lot of movies that have like people who speak another language use that. But to be fair, I have had Filipino people talk in Tagalog without me realizing I can understand the fluently. And it's really funny.
I know what you mean about that particular scene. Yeah, something about it just didn't ring quite true, and it felt a little trite. Basically, any complaints are mostly nitpicking.
Yeah.
It's nice because when we think of romantic comedies, we usually think of something that is very like overdone or you know very formulaic. Where this is by definition a romantic comedy, but it's a really good one. You know, that's really refreshing to have a romantic comedy that you can go to. It's very real. It's not this sort of like trite fairy tale kind of story. It's just refreshingly funny, refreshingly good, and very modern. That's a nice little bit of lightning in a bottle, and I can't wait to see like if this creative team can capitalize on that, because Big Sick so far has been very successful.
It's actually one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I will watch this movie again. It's not, I'll probably watch it, I will watch it again.
Cool. Anything else?
No.
Awesome. Let us know what you think of The Big Sick in the comment section. We'd love to hear your point of view. Give us a little thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends. Thanks so much for watching,